Attention crew, it's time to make it so. Reporting for duty are your fearless co-hosts, Crewman PVG, bringing the logic, Crewman Mgyx, keeping it bold, and Crewman Tommy, ready with the photon torpedo of hot takes. From classic episodes to new frontiers, Klingon phrases to Starfleet trivia, no quadrant is off limits. So grab your tricorder, set your phasers to fun, and prepare for another warp speed ride through the final frontier. This is Technically Trek.
Laying a course, maximum warp.
Aye, Captain.
Engage.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. See, I was like, I'm going to get a really hyped up intro, but that was it. Welcome to the Technically Trek podcast. We are live, and mistakes happen, bloopers happen, and there's no going back because that's just how we do. It's a lot easier to go live than it is to edit, because when you're editing a podcast, there's just too many mistakes you want to clean up, and you never publish. So when you go live, it's just, it is what it is. And
do you think that's because, do you think we have that attitude because for the most of us, part of us, we're DJs and we're used to doing live performances?
We're used to being under pressure.
Under pressure.
No pressure here.
Well, I mean, because
in the middle, the guy talking about being a DJ is Crewman Mgyx.
Oh yeah, I'm in the middle. Magic's in the middle. Where you at? Where you at? There's a throwback DJing.
And then on the left side,
to the left, like Beyonce, to the left.
Crewman PVG.
Trek yourself before you wreck yourself.
Head egg.
That's something new.
Man, look at you just coming up with memes. No one's ever thought of that before.
I did. That's not in my cart already from my T Republic website. It is. It is in my.
We just blessed ourselves with the 11th episode of Star Trek: The Animated Series, and it's called the Terratin Incident. I think I've already forgotten.
It is Terratin. I will give a thumbs up.
Yes. This goes back to conversations we've had. I mean, quick overview of the episode if you don't recall it. I don't know if anybody recalls any of the animated. But they approach a planet. They get hit with a beam. And
a graviton anomaly.
Yes, and they're just all in shock. But then they all start to realize they're shrinking. They're getting to be little people. And they continue to shrink. And so Kirk decides, you know what? I'm just going to transport down to the planet to where this beam is coming from and find out what is going on before we are incapable of doing anything. Because what are they going to shrink down to? 1 notch in the inch?
1/16?
1/16.
That's the one notch, right? I'm surprised they're not using centimeters and millimeters.
Yeah, well, it's America.
I'm surprised no one made a comment on the lackluster cleanliness of the Enterprise once you get down to that, because they've apparently found a whole bunch of toothpicks, needles.
Someone
made lashings.
Right.
You would think they would have
Roombas
Roombas
with a thread in it, apparently. Just in a state of emergency, it happened to be there, and all this shit is on the ground. So at the end of this episode, I'll be like, Captain, we really need to talk about the cleanliness of our ship. I mean, you're rescuing people with covered toothpicks.
Thankfully, it was dirty. Because if it weren't for that filthiness, they may not have been able to save Sulu's leg.
With the macaroni, with a half a macaroni.
Right.
Or a hair, whatever that was.
I don't know if that was a hair. Yeah. It might have been like,
I don't want to know what
no, you know what? I think it was a toenail clipping.
Hold on. I just realized something. So first of all, it was definitely a macaroni that they used to splint Sulu's leg. Because what else is that
toenail clipping?
Oh, dude, that's disgusting.
Or a piece of scab or something.
No, because it was rounded. It was too concave. But the other thing is this.
Well, that's a funky toenail then. I've seen toenails like that though.
This make me. All right. So the other thing was this. Where did Scotty get the hair from? Well, the transporter levers. Because that was some long hair.
That was some long.
Like, which strands did he use? Like, you didn't rip apart any wires. That had to be hair.
And
whose hair is laid around like that? That's you just invade somebody's shower and get.
Maybe it's from one of her weaves. Because organic material was shrinking down too. But if she had a weave that was made out of non-organic, well, their uniforms were shrinking down, but they said that their uniforms were made out of some organic material, which I thought was weird.
No, it was polyester or something.
Yeah,
the only thing that didn't shrink down was the armband. The metal armband didn't shrink down on what's her face.
Some kind of titanium.
Oh, hold on. Point the back of your mic to the.
Oh, yeah, I noticed that. Do you see what? I don't know if you guys can see that. You know what it says? Technically, Trek.
I see Trek.
Yeah, that's big letters.
It's,
I'm not cool. I don't have a mic where I could do that.
Sure is making that now. That's Shure brand model.
Oh, Shure SM7B. We occasionally name drop the Shure SM7B.
Oh, did I say that out loud?
And if anybody wants to donate a GoFundMe for Mgyx to get a Shure SM7B,
we could start a GoFundMe. Or they have those things where like it's called Buy Me a Coffee, where it's like a GoFundMe except people put in like 50 cents here and there, and then you get like 1,000 people putting in 50 cents. Well, that's $500.
Yeah. Or we could use a sponsor. Sure, could sponsor us.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Well, I'll check with my people over there. Sure, you said? Were they at China?
Did I say that? Sponsors? Did anybody out there hear sponsors?
We got
a sponsor last week.
I have a slide for a sponsor. So, but I am going to keep it a surprise for now. Okay.
So anyway, the Enterprise is funky as hell. Because apparently they're just using hair that they find and toenail. Ew. You mean toenail clipping?
You like choked on that word.
That's a little disgusting. I don't like feet as it is, and the fact that you're using a toenail to splint somebody's leg, that's just and then you know what? It's probably the cat ladies because she's the only one that's barefoot. Yeah.
Well, you never know. I mean, think about it. Sitting there on an 8-hour shift, like just sitting at the helm. You know, Sulu's probably ripping off his boot and his sock. Or, there's probably days where he just walks in there with sandals on.
Oh, man. I don't know about that.
For you viewers at home, you need to watch this episode. It was pretty good for the animated series. It was probably the best episode I've seen.
Season 1, episode 11. But, okay, so to continue on with the overview, there's a radiation beam coming from the planet. It's shrinking them down. They're getting to a critical size where they're not going to be able to push any buttons because they'll be too small.
Think downsize with Matt Damon.
Kirk they're at about the 2-inch kind of region of size. So Kirk says, I'll go down to the planet where the beam's coming from and I'll just see if there's anything we can do. He runs in. Well, what happens is when Kirk transports down, he gets reset back to normal size. So he's like, all right, well, this is cool. So then he comes back up to the ship and then he starts saying, okay, well, it looks like we can just start sending people. Well, no, there's this part where people get transported down. They start stealing people.
They get kidnapped. Yeah.
Yeah. So they start transporting people down to the planet. But for their transporter doesn't resize them because they don't have a memory history of that person's anatomy prior. Right? So did they bring that up in the episode? Like
they don't bring it up. They don't explain it. Like we obviously see that because we brought it up before, but they never straight out say, "Hey, we got resized because our memory's in the buffer.
Yeah, our anatomy, like our physiology, is in the transporter buffer. So when we transported down, it resized us because it thought something's wrong. I need to reset this person back to his normal size.
And plus, they've been that small, and it's pretty much the norm now. They've been small for so long.
Yeah.
So yeah, they said that when their original ship got there, they shrank down as fast as the Enterprise did, and no one could find them. That's why there was no rescue.
Yeah.
And then they just started having babies, and they were just born that way.
I mean, their whole city fit on one pad.
Yeah, transporter.
So technically speaking, if you could find their original ship and were able to remotely extract it, I don't know, over Wi-Fi 6 perhaps, or Bluetooth it to a modern day transporter, you could possibly reset them back to their original buffer. Actually, no, I take that back, because the ship never changed size. You just have to find their original ship, and they would just pull it from the buffer. There's no need wireless or anything. But I think their original ship is just gone.
Yeah, but if they're saying that there's been generations, they may not have ever transported.
The second generation would not be able to be restored, but the original ones, if there are any left, would. But I will say this.
Say it.
Our man Bashir, DS9 episode, directly correlates to this. Whether there's a transporter accident, and they mention that, hey, John B. Where they mention, for the entire crew of the Defiant, of a runabout, is stored on the station because they're about to die and everything. So they try and transport off, but the explosion happens and they don't make it to the other side exactly. So they save them in the buffer. The transporter buffer can only hold them for so long. It's like literally a couple of minutes. So they ran out of external storage. They didn't have an NVMe drive or anything like that. So
thumb drive?
They wiped out all of the... They told the computer, delete anything, delete whatever you need to delete to make room for the members to save their patterns before they start to degrade. So basically the station wiped out everything except core processing. And then because a holodeck was running, they saved the bodies on the main station, and they saved their brains in the holodeck for the holodeck matrix. So if that gives you an idea, I think it was like, I want to say 47 crewmen were saved that way, and that took up the entire DS9 station. Now, I don't know if that's makes a difference, if the DS9 station is bigger than a Starship computer, but in that manner, that is the closest I have yet to see, other than classics where they bring back Scotty and they mention Thomas Riker, where they bring up, hey, we could save people permanently. And obviously now this was a going thing back in the day with Chapel and Mbenga, because they did that shit during the Klingon War.
Right.
So if they did that shit in the Klingon War, why? And DS9 rediscovers it like, oh, this was one of those continuity things. Like, how the fuck do you forget something that significant? And it ties.
I think it's come up numerous times where the power of the transporter it's like one of those secret weapons, or like almost like a magical tool.
It's a MacGuffin.
Yeah, and it's just never taken advantage of.
So before the show, I was watching another Star Trek show from What Culture, and they were doing a review on Wrath of Khan, the new one. So Star Trek Beyond. No, Star Trek Into Darkness.
Yeah.
So, and they mention, because as you know, in the 2009 original Star Trek, the reboot, Scotty was saying, hey, not only can I beam you from, one side of the planet to another, I could do it within the same solar system and possibly within the same galaxy. So doing one at warp, not a problem. So, in Into Darkness, it starts, they say Starfleet confiscated his material. And one of the guy who's doing the show from What Culture was like, they never say why. He's like, because think about it. If you could beam from planet to planet within the same solar system, there's no need for space travel. Just beam from planet to planet. If you could do it within the same galaxy, beam from planet to planet. Like, what the fuck?
Jack Daniels.
What Jack Daniels what?
Hard tea.
Oh, see, that's, you know, these teeth. So, yeah, I find that as like,
That's what my lady said.
Transporter is the great MacGuffin that I think the Star Trek executive producers, directors, writers think that people are too stupid to remember. That's the only thing I could think of. Like, because as Star Trek fans here, we're literally saying, hey, why didn't you just use the transporter to save that guy before he died? Yeah. Hey, that guy lost his arm. And DS9, they also brought up, hey, you lost your arm in the war. You know the Federation could just reprint you one from your buffer, right? From your records.
Yeah.
Even the doctor. The doctor from Voyager. It was like, hey, your last physical is saved in the Bio and Starfleet records. That was your last transport. So now it's gotten to a point where whenever you transport, that last transport gets logged up in the cloud. So that if you do need to be...
But if you run out of storage, I mean, like... I get an email every day saying I'm out of Dropbox storage.
And I pay those. When I get those texts, I go and I log on and I pay those people money.
Hell no.
Delete some shit.
There's an episode that is towards the near end of Enterprise. You know, the one where the guy loses his kid to a transporter accident when he was inventing the transporter.
Oh, yeah, son.
And his son gets transported into subspace. Yes. You would think that if that was possible, and this is where they were doing those distance tests, because that was his ploy of getting Enterprise to go along with his rescuing his son. He couldn't say, let's go rescue my son from subspace, because everybody would have thought he's crazy. He said, let's go out to this open area of space where there's no planets or stars and test how far we can transport things. And they were transporting things very far, like light years or whatever. I don't know what it was, but you know, then like when everybody would go to bed, the guy in the wheelchair would come out and he would like, all right, I'm going to try to figure out how to get my son out of subspace. But instead his son like killed people. Well, his subspace signal.
By the way, John B, correct me. John B, you are correct. I got the number 42 or 47 mixed up with a different episode. You are correct. It was just the 5 of them because they all got transported into Bashir's James Bond type character. And yeah, it was those 5 patterns to the entire computer core to save just their bodies, not even their minds. But it's definitely one of those things like maybe we need to have.
What is it called? Transporter? Transporter. What did I call it? Teleporter?
I don't know. We need to have a Star Trek Mythbusters.
Yeah.
Like modern day, like kind of like on the level of Lower Decks. So it's actually actors who are like, hey, you heard the story about DS9, right? We're going to prove to you that it can happen. You know, shit like that.
Sherry, I got it at Tuts.
It's not that bad.
I got it at Tuts, $1.59 a can, or you can get like a 12-pack for $15. I don't know what the better deal is. I'm not good at math. Yo, Asian dude, what's the better deal? No, I'm just kidding.
Ding chong.
Oh wow! I'm not even Asian. I'm.
No, I feel like transporter technology, or it just there's so many breakthroughs, like so many miracles that we've seen in episodes of Star Trek that have to do with that transporter. Why don't they have more science going into it to do more with it? Like in battle situations, there's been times where they transport like a photon torpedo, right? Like right into the other ship, and then it explodes.
Why that should be a normal procedure.
Right.
Hey,
Like,
instead of all this bullshit, let's fly around, do some evasive action, keep the shields up, scan them, find their shield frequency, and then we're gonna transfer transport a couple of torpedoes to some key locations, or do like Enterprise did, transport some shit off of those. Hey, you can't go to warp without a warp coil. Ha ha ha! Gotcha, bitch.
yeah.
Gotcha, bitch.
Right. You would think that there would be more transporter shenanigans going on, but it just seemed very underutilized, you know?
I mean, instead of plastic surgery, you know, you got to manipulate those cells. You know, you get a longer dong or a bigger whatever. I just,
Man, we're on YouTube. This
saying what you're thinking about.
There's your theme music.
Oh, yeah, man.
That's what the good.
Oh, yeah. So I feel like
That data.
Red Alert probably activates a transporter scrambler or something. I mean,
you could eventually get to that, but think of this. Yes, saying fire all phasers, fire torpedoes. That gives you dramatic action. But you could, even if you're doing all that, you could be doing some back end shit. You know, like I said, you could be. You know what? What's a ship gonna do if you teleport or? Damn, now I'm saying it. If you transport their deflector dish, not even the transport the screws that hold the deflector dish in place off that bitch.
yeah.
Now everything's gone. You ain't got no inertial dampener. You can't got no kind of deflection for any kind of space debris that's out there. You know.
Oh, last week I looked it up.
Off their antenna for communications. Now you can't call for help.
I looked it up last week. The NX-01 does have inertial dampeners.
Oh.
Well, yeah, they all have to have inertial dampeners. Otherwise, every Cochrane would have been liquid.
Yeah.
The Vulcans would be like, "Yo, who broke the warp barrier? Oh, damn, that motherfucker didn't make it. Well, should we tell them about inertial dampeners and let them figure it out on their own?" Because that's essentially what it is. I mean, it just keeps you in place so you don't liquefy on launch or stopping.
But back to the whole thing with the distance, right? Like John B's saying, a red alert may activate, like your shields, right, can block transporter waves. But if you can do a transport from far enough, like if your long range sensors pick up, hey, there's a Borg vessel, you know, like a light year away. I don't know how magical the Scotty can make something transport the distance wise, but you know what? Transport a transphasic torpedo, you know, or
yeah. Hell, set up a couple. You got enough sensors there. There was one thing that they brought up as well. And I'm not going to say that Into Darkness is a bad Star Trek movie, but I did have some. It wasn't the greatest when I watched it, and this guy's show kind of explains why I felt the way I felt. One thing that I noticed about it is that whole chase scene from Kronos back to Earth. Why didn't anybody else pick? Why was there no one else around? Like, there were no other ships in the Sol system that picked
busy.
up the Enterprise.
They were on break.
There wasn't. Where was Starbase 1?
They were on
That orbits
PTO.
Earth. Where was Earth's planetary defense system?
They were on vacation.
Where was the SDF Macross?
Someone had called in a fake 911 call on on the other side of the
By the way,
briar patch.
that would be dope as shit. If they did a crossover with Star Trek with the SDF Macross. That would just be dope.
Well, I asked the same question about Star Trek: The Motion Picture. You know, like, why was it just Enterprise that had to deal with V'ger? Like, doesn't Earth have any other defenses? And even when you think back about the Xindi attack, like,
Right.
was there no defense for Earth?
Better question is this. There should have been one after the Xindi.
Right.
I get it. I get
Yep.
it. They came out logically, time-wise, and reality afterwards. But in timeline-wise, the Xindi attack happened first before V'ger or anything else. We got walked on. So after that, when the Star Trek: The Motion Picture came out, there should have been some sort of defense. Any other movie that took place chronologically that got put out after Star Trek Enterprise aired, there should have been some other defense there.
Yeah.
So the 2009 one with the Romulans, there should have been planetary. Hold on. Why did John B's got a question? Why did Enterprise fall to Earth while being just outside the moon? And why J.J. Abrams? That's why. Yeah, there's no sense of geography. See Star Wars Episode 7 or 4 Minutes of Vulcan. I mean, that was another thing. Question too is people were like, why did the Enterprise fall into the moon? I understand that the moon has gravitational forces on Earth, but if it fell into the moon, that means the moon would fall, which Moonfall is an okay movie. It's outlandish as shit, but it was a good movie. And that's also on this episode. If you look on the animated series, that planet was so goddamn far away. How did the Enterprise get pulled into that? Like, these animators, I get JJ and everybody else. You got physical shit you got to deal with, but animation, you're drawing distance. Do you not know how to draw that a planet that you're orbiting is a hell of a lot closer than that? That shit looked like you're looking at Mars or some shit. Like, that didn't make no sense.
Maybe John B can look this up, because we were talking about this last week, about the timeline of the end of World War III and when the Cochrane launched the Phoenix. And to me, it just doesn't seem like a lot of time. You know, it seems like, I think it's less than 100 years. And I don't know I just don't think that the world is ever going to be in a place where, one, we're going to get rid of money. We ain't never getting rid of money.
Dude, we will. That's what the World War III was. So in Discovery, Pike, when he lands on that planet, I think was it the first episode?
Is Star Trek just wishful thinking?
Pretty much.
No. What I'm saying is this. Think of it this way. So Pike drops some details when he's dealing with a planet that is very much like Earth.
Yeah.
And says, look, we gave you something that allows you to kill yourselves.
I know.
And
The
you're
montage, the Earth destruction montage.
But he said that it wiped out the majority of the species. So, I mean, you ain't got money. Everything's destroyed. I mean, hell, look what happened if
What is
something
Latinum then?
happens in the U.S., if the stock market crashes, the financial institutions in the United States crash, your money means nothing. Because literally the rest of the world could say the dollar ain't shit.
What is?
Oh, you got some fancy pieces of paper? Oh, you think you special.
What is Latinum?
Gold press
Whatever.
Latinum?
Bro, gold press Latinum. Is that
Borg
not
has on
money?
its stomach. It's a material. I look, Ferengis are something totally different.
Hey, I was going to ask a question, and this could
What
be
about?
treading on bad stuff.
Oh, John B says it's something that can't be replicated.
Platinum.
Two,
Wait,
two, three.
before we get into this, do we want to? Crewman Sherry had a question.
Oh yeah,
that she wanted
Crewman
to
Sherry,
ask
ask your question, and I'm going to finish my thought about getting rid of money.
I got to say something. 223 and 556 always has value.
There you go.
But does it really? Would you rather have a 223 or a
Damn,
556?
she had that in.
Thanks, Chief.
She had that in her clipboard.
Oh shit! Hold on.
That's a lot of
TV
reading.
Said that Lost in Space 1960 was playing. Accidentally selected the channel, but was disappointed to find out that it was the show I was expecting.
That's because you were on
Lost
Cinemax.
was the show that about the dad and a couple kids that got lost on a planet. What the fuck?
Land of the Lost? No.
Land of the Lost. That's on Earth.
So Sherry, you were thinking of Land of the Lost, and the Ewok character you were thinking about is Chaka, because
Chaka Khan?
It was a Saturday show.
Will Ferrell made a remake of it. That is hilarious, and I named my friend in the club Chaka. Shout out to Outcast if you're out there. And we have a whole bit that's been going on for almost 20 years now. We rarely see each other anymore. He's got family and whatnot, but he comes around every once and again. And we always talk about Chaka. Some Chaka meat with some paprika and some garlic. And we're always talking about cooking up Chaka on the grill. But you're thinking of Land of the Lost, not Lost in Space.
And Crewman Sherry, while you're in the typing mood, type up a quick couple sentences of a pitch of why Mgyx would like living in Clinton County with us.
Okay, well
that's Crewman Sherry's homework. Couple paragraphs why Mgyx would like it here.
That happened after first contact and not right away.
We have great production meetings.
World War III ended in 2053. First contact was 2063. And the answer is Dairy King. Okay.
John B.
I don't know.
10 years.
He might.
John B.
Mgyx is lactose intolerant.
Oh, really?
Yeah, dude. Most humans are.
No.
We stopped drinking milk from our mothers.
Does that have
Unless
lactose in it?
Yes.
I think
Anyway.
I was formula fed. I think.
Well, that's because you're
Okay, back to the. Okay,
I'm a clone, so.
Yes. They don't do that.
Right.
That toasted ravioli is just a Midwest thing.
Oh,
It was
okay.
invented in St. Louis. I
Yeah,
believe.
toasted ravioli is nowhere, but you would like that. You would like that'd be something to try. And they do have awesome French fries. The problem right now is that road is closed.
I know.
And so going from New Baden to Trenton is a pain in the ass.
John B., I don't know if you've seen that yet. It is a pain.
Because you have to take County Line Road to get to Trenton.
So, Tom, what was your thought that you were going to have, that you were
All right.
formulating?
So I was thinking about the way the creator of Star Trek and maybe the original band of writers that, you probably go through Albers or something.
You're talking about Gene Rodenberry
Yeah.
or Isaac Asimov.
So do you think, let me ask this without offending anybody, and if anyone's offended, then oh well. Do you think that certain races were tied to, races of real people were tied to alien species?
Yes.
See, and I think the Ferengis are Jews.
Yes.
Oh, definitely.
And
Yes.
and instead of a big
It said
nose, they have big ears.
Yeah.
So there was a, I want to say unwritten, an unspoken. I watched it on some documentary, or it may have just been a YouTube video, but somebody who worked closely with Roddenberry said that, yeah, there are certain aspects that were given to individual species during the original because he wanted to reflect what was going on at the time in the world. So Klingons were black, big, loud, rambunctious. Ironically enough, I just watched a video where a white dude's like, "Hey, tell me who I am. I'm loud, I'm noxious, and blah blah blah." Blah, blah, blah. And the chick's like, she's like, "Hey, can I phone a friend?" He's like, "Yeah, all for you." And it was like, "Yeah, you're loud, obnoxious." And there was like
John B said he thought they were Russians.
Like, black. She's like, "You're right."
Klingons could have been Russians.
No.
But you think they were meant to portray black
Klingons
people?
Were black. Klingons were black. Russians, I want to say, were not Romulans. What's the other one? I think Russians were Cardassians. Were more Kardashian-ish.
Yeah.
I know.
Who would the
obviously
Vulcans
were
Chinese.
Vulcans were Asian.
Oh, duh. Yeah. Because when they draw the animated series, they always certain angles. Spock in the animated looks like a Ching Chong.
And Romulans were Indians.
Really?
Taco, chimichurri.
I never thought about Indians being
7-Eleven,
portrayed.
not native.
Oh, okay.
Thank you very much.
Right.
You're talking about
that's where
thank you,
Romulan-
come again.
Please come again.
All right.
Very now some aspects said I think the Romulans could have been Russian because they're also very suspicious of everyone. And that was a big thing of like Russia, but I'm pretty sure it was meant to be Indian as well. But Indian and Russia, they have that thing going on. They've had it since like I want to say World War I, World War II, where they backed each other up.
Yeah, they're friendly.
So yeah. I don't know. I can't think of any other ones. Like I don't know what race would be Mexican.
Damn. I don't know. I mean, you would have to think back to the original series. I don't know if there's really any representation for Mexican.
How about those guys on the Next Generation? They came in and they were to refit the Enterprise, the inside of the Enterprise, and I can't remember who that race was. That's all they did. They didn't talk to anybody. They just went and did their thing.
The
Binars?
Binars?
Yeah, I think so.
What were they doing? Landscaping or something?
No, they're just at it, getting,
Like
they don't
painting the outside of the
painting
Enterprise.
the outside or doing whatever, updating this or.
Damn.
Okay, well, I mean, someone's got to do it, I guess. Yeah, because every time I see, because now that I've been watching DS9, because now all I watch at this point is DS9.
How far are you in?
I got to keep going back because I fall asleep.
Yeah.
So I'm on like season 1, episode 18. I just watched one. I just watched the one where Odo and Deanna's mom were stuck in the turbo lift.
I watched that too. And he started to fall apart and kind of
he gooed, and she said, "You can goo in me." And she opened up her.
He gooed.
Right. I have that. Yeah. You can go anywhere you want.
Yeah.
Okay. So you want on your stuff.
Emotional damage.
Yeah, it was wow.
Yeah, I'll be watching the next one maybe tonight or tomorrow. But
so I'm on season 4.
damn. So you got Worf now.
I did. So I fell asleep right after The Visitor.
Okay.
So that was season 4, episode 3. I watched the end of it and I thought, I was like, oh, let me just get the first 5 minutes of the Hippocratic Oath and then I will, stop it. And I fell asleep and I woke up to Our Man Bashir. So I had to go back and rewatch 6 episodes. So now I'm on Little Green Men. This is where the Quark takes and Nog and Rom all take Nog to Earth so he can join Starfleet Academy, and they end up going back in time.
Oh.
But After that,
no,
is
I'm
the
still
sort of
good. I got one more full one that I ain't opened yet.
A-list. But I think it's definitely got better. It's got better, and the fucked up part
Well,
is,
that's what people were saying is DS9 really doesn't get good until like the 4th season.
I honestly think they could have got this whole Dominion thing. It's and I get that, Roddenberry's aspect of, we want to show the conflict of time and reality, or show, the same conflicts that you have in real life and how it's done on Star Wars. This whole Dominion War thing is just drawn out, and that's what puts me to sleep.
Yeah.
And I realize every time you got one of these long dispositions about the Dominions, or not the Jem'Hadar, but what are the people that rule over them?
Vorta.
When they start getting into these little monologues, it's like, good night.
Or does Cindy?
I just fall asleep. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Like, man, just dumb.
It's like you saving
even-
money on hand lotion when you watch DS9 because you know that shit's putting you to sleep instead.
Yo, I know shit. It's got to wait. So the other big reason why I stopped watching TOS is because back in the day, TOS, if I would go out, we'd go out clubbing, have a McAllister night, and I'd still be hyped up. I couldn't go to sleep. I put on TOS, and I'm out within 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to watch this. And now it's getting back to the point where if I put on TOS, I am lights out within 10 to 15 minutes.
So
DS9 has gotten better because they got rid of all the bullshit, except for this occasional Dominion War
Paramount
bullshit.
Plus really fucks you when you fall asleep.
Because they don't stop.
I was watching. So here's what's funny. I was watching this show called School Spirits with the blonde girl from Cobra Kai, and I watched.
I didn't watch the new season.
So I was watching season 2, and I fell asleep. Because I think it was like it was like midnight. So I fell asleep. I had been up since like 4 a.m. I fell asleep watching School Spirits. Episode and it only had 8 episodes in season 2, and so I think I fell asleep watching episode 5. I wake up the next day and I look at the TV. It's on DS9 season 4. Just some crazy episode, way further than I had even come close to getting. I don't even know what Paramount Plus did. So it must have plowed through School Spirits.
Nope. It is the autoplay. Automatically play another piece of content after current content has concluded.
Yeah.
As I just checked mine and I just turned it off.
I'm going to shut mine off.
Because Netflix used to do that as well. And people used to get mad. Oh, why are you show me going over my bandwidth for the month? I'm like, well, I mean, what did you do last night? It's the beginning of the month, so with old school, before there was unlimited bandwidth, PBG, people would get their bandwidth reset every month. So come the first of the month, they're watching The Orange Is the New Black, or what is that one with Redding or Redhead, Red something? Infinity watches it. It's a crime show with fuck.
Oh, that girl who can tell if someone's lying?
No, it's the old dude who's like a CIA deep cover operative from like the 80s, and he's, finally turns himself in.
Oh, Raymond Reddington.
Blacklist. So those were
that's
coming
good
out
shit there.
in 4K. So people were watching those and they fall asleep. So 8 hours at 4K, you've ate up your bandwidth for the month, and it's now June 2nd, and you're getting a notification by the system saying you've used 95% of your bandwidth for the month. And people would call in, and it's because Netflix has an autoplay feature in. And then people would be like, all right, well, I'm going to turn that off. Well, Then the next month comes around. I turned it off. Why the fuck is it doing this? Are you using a family profile or multiple profiles for other people in your house? Well, the kids got their own for their stuff. We don't want them watching this. I was like, yeah, you need to turn off the autoplay on your kids because they're kids. And Infinity did this, and he called me, what the fuck's going on? His daughter would fall asleep watching something like Blue's Clues and would wake up, and the kids are smart enough to be like, oh, I didn't watch that episode. Let me go back to the one I was watching. And so it plays hours and hours of 4K video. Kid wakes up. I didn't watch none of that. Goes back and rewatches the same episodes again in 4K. And now you're without bandwidth.
I messed up the surprise. You saw it.
I saw you something. You do.
Guess what? Tonight is the 20th episode. It's our 20th episode anniversary of the Technically Trek podcast, the official one. And tonight's sponsor.
That was the worst last ever.
Tonight's sponsor is you.
Soldier Boy.
We thank you. We want to grow because it's fun, like with John B. and Crewman Sherry in the chat. It's fun to have some chat going. And, we just want people to jump in the chat and have some conversation. Call us out on our BS, like how John B. called out Mgyx on some 47.
Hey, John B., that's not calling out. John B. is our man in the chair.
Yes,
And
man in the chair.
It. I acknowledge that I got the number of the crew.
John B.'s been AWOL for a while, so we have to figure out what's going on there. But we do definitely appreciate John B. being back because he did have man in the chair status. And then we probably went like 3 or 4 episodes where there was no John B.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, who's going to take man in the chair status?
Yeah,
there was IB in New York City. And I don't know if he was gunning for man in the chair, but right now I think John B is man in the chair.
John, you the man.
I'm going back with John B being man in the chair. I mean, he helped us out with our timeline from World War III to the Cochrane, which begs to wonder, how the fuck did Cochrane get resources like that after what? I think Pike said 33% of humanity and species died. So, I mean, what the fuck? Or was it 60%? I don't know.
Man in the chair is the fact checker, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Easy encyclopedia, Star Trek.
But Crewman Sherry, we have another assignment for you.
She's working on it.
A real one, not one of the ones that Tom gave you, of why I should come live there. We would like to know what were your internal questions when you asked yourself, why should I start watching Star Trek? Or now that you're into watching Star Trek, what are some of your questions that you have for us that you may be afraid to ask?
Got it.
But see, this is why John's the man in the chair. John needs to have a microphone as well, because that would lead to the question of, if that's the case, where did he get the material to resurface that nuclear missile with material that was able to survive warp speeds?
Probably had a scavenge. Yeah, that's true.
Or did he have some sort of deflector system or shield system around it that helped deflect material? Because like a pebble would have just gone right through that ship. Everyone would have died.
Jump in to this question here. Oh, what the hell?
My phone. My phone fell.
Yeah. Crewman Sherry is being supportive, so she didn't really have any questions. Because remember, Crewman Sherry was supportive on our previous podcast. Remember, she used to play Jack with us.
But Sherry, do you have questions now, or how is your? Actually, let's pause for a moment. How is your venture into the world of Trek? Because we need to catch up with you.
She ain't venturing. I was watching. She just came over to the house a few minutes ago. I was watching DS9. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
You know what? Hey,
ask
Sherry,
questions.
Give those questions. I would say email Tom, but he'll probably forget.
Don't email because I don't do email.
I want to
Electronic mail.
I want to say something real quick, and it's, you're celebrating tonight's sponsor, which is you, the public. I want to thank Magic and you, Tom, for bringing me on board. Tommy. Sorry. And I really appreciate it. I've never had so much fun. I never have ever
I got to turn on this oscillator.
To Sunday nights.
I'm sweating.
Whatever. So...
see, this is why you don't have him drink. You're trying to be serious, and he's doing this shit.
I know. He's going off on another tangent.
No, I'm sweating. I can feel the sweat right here.
Yeah, I know. It's disgusting, too. But I just want to thank you guys. I've never had look forward to Sunday nights like this, ever.
All right. Well, this is fun. Podcasting is fun. And doing it with Star Trek, I think, was the best of both worlds for us. This is why Mgyx and I, kind of branched off to do our own thing here.
Sherry, you're exactly right. It's fun when you find your people. So
this is true. It is definitely a breath of fresh air with PVG giving us his insight on.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
The old school aspect of, and this is being serious, not calling out your age or anything. You've watched a show that I wasn't born for, but I'm trying to rewatch, and you have information that I don't have. And while at the same time, I feel that we're helping you discover the new shows,
definitely.
And some of the things on it. And I definitely dig the Easter eggs that we're finding together of throwbacks, like the giant Spock found in Lower Decks, which is fucked up because especially after watching this last animated series, because they went the opposite way and they shrunk them down, which means they could have done something with the giant Spock as well, and they chose not to. And John B, what was the name of this? Sorry, hold on. I'm gonna ask a question. What was the name of the city? And from the animated system? The
animated series?
Yeah, the one that we just watched. Because whatever happened to that city?
Terratin?
Yeah, what happened to what happened to the rest?
They took it to that planet called Venetia.
So where are they now? Now that we're 900 years in the future, were they affected by the burn? Are they still there?
I wonder if they would have grown. Like, would they have started to... if they had kids, would the kids have normal big DNA?
They probably.
Because they are. This is why we started this podcast. So because they are offshoots of humans that have transporter technology and space travel knowledge from their past, have they re-achieved warp capability?
I got a even broader question. Why in the whole universe of Star Trek is all of life the same size? Like, why wouldn't there be more giants? Why wouldn't there be more miniature people?
The progenitors.
Yeah.
Dude, it's literally the progenitors. They literally said, if you wondered why you're all about the same, we set you up to reflect us because we knew we wouldn't be here. There are only slight differences between Klingons and Vulcans and everyone else that are environmentally based.
So you're saying the progenitors were the only ones to plant life seeds in
our galaxy and solar systems? Yeah.
But what about beyond that? Are you saying that the four quadrants that we know of are all controlled by the progenitors? And did the progenitors control the changelings? Did they invent the changelings?
That I don't know. Maybe that's just an offshoot. Maybe that's a seed that didn't quite take, whose Jericho did not quite
Little
make
person.
it all the way around.
No, I'm not talking about a little person. I'm talking about people that are like 1 inch high.
They all drowned. The first big rainfall they had, they all drowned. Yeah.
They all
I
got
still don't understand why they didn't
Odo's
just take him back
goo.
first.
They drowned in Odo's goo.
Goo.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Jerry, we need to get your questions to us somehow. So if you want to drop them off at Tom's.
What
we can type
question?
them
No,
up.
there's no question. She's got questions right here. She's asking the questions.
She has a whole no. I want to do a show
Oh,
that's dedicated to all the questions that she has about Star Trek. She literally says, "Be careful what you wish for. I could
All
consume
right.
the whole time."
okay.
And I want to do that. I want to have.
Well, we
some
will. We can do a
audience
special
participation
episode where we answer Crewman Sherry's questions.
with John B as the man in the chair, because I can't type that fast sometimes.
Or if she puts the questions as comments after the episode's over, put it in the comments, then we can answer them. Or we can just answer them on the show. I think it's better to answer them on the show. By the way, it's Malcolm's birthday on, Tuesday?
Malcolm in the middle.
62.
yeah.
He's going to be 63. So he's 62 right now. So you guys are like,
Yeah.
did you guys go to high school together or what?
No.
Okay. You guys probably like the same songs though.
Yeah.
Beach Boys.
You're younger than I am. Wow.
Crewman Sherry asked if they had a little person in one of the Star Trek shows.
Yes. Remember that little baby?
Yeah. So 101 session, you might just new watchers. Hey, see, she has a good point.
We will do that.
Star Trek. What?
Who likes this guy? Malcolm.
I like Malcolm.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? He just got married too.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yes, and
He had everybody at his wedding.
I wonder, is that his first marriage?
Phlox was at his wedding.
Phlox, Captain.
Archer, they all were.
Yes, Ron Howard's
Yes,
brother.
Yeah.
But I don't think that
He
was
was
the
a
little person
baby.
that you were thinking of because he played a baby. But
And
unless that is, I don't think there's ever been. I'm trying to think of any other
he was
series that
also
had
in Gentle Ben. Clint Howard. It was about a bear, and he befriended a bear. That's before your time. I remember watching that as a kid.
Ben.
You remember Gentle Ben?
Yes, they came on Sundays. For the Mutual of Omaha series also came on Sundays. It was so I remember a lot of these shows coming on Sundays because it was either like a Disney movie night, like a.
That's why he's single.
Yeah.
Even in his
And,
future, he's single. That was sad when they said Malcolm.
Says he's kind of hard to look at.
Remember in that episode where they run into the future Enterprise
Yes.
You don't have nobody.
and Malcolm never hooked up with anybody? Because it's like he's kind of a loser. I don't know if
he's
I
just-
liked him.
kind of a leech.
Look, man,
He got
is
so
the-
insecure about Mako Hayes.
Man, he is the Miles O'Brien Bashir combo. That's when they started doing the buddy
He came
cop
up
thing.
with Red
He came up
Alert
with
or
Red
Yeah.
Alert.
He came up with some good stuff, but there's just sometimes you just want to punch him in the throat. Just shut up. Do your job. Quit whining.
they all whined. They all whined to Archer too much.
And so that's another thing I would like to find out.
Tucker was a baby, whining all the time. Read
Read
alert,
alert,
yes.
What happened to all these other people? You only hear about Archer after Enterprise.
What do you mean?
You
What
never
happened to him?
hear about Hoshi or T'Pol or
I guess they all
anyone
get
else.
stereotyped.
That's something to think about.
I mean,
like,
in the history books. I'm talking like everybody
you're
remembers
talking about in
Archer
Star
and his
Trek
dog.
history. Nothing.
Yeah, and like Star Trek and his dog, you hear about Archer, Captain Archer, and the Great
Do
Speech.
you though?
And memorize, yeah, because you mentioned it. It's mentioned in DS9, and it's
Archer was mentioned.
Yes.
Okay.
Deanna says she had to memorize his speech on the final episode of Enterprise.
Yeah, but that's Enterprise. But was Archer
But-
ever mentioned in TNG?
I believe he was mentioned in the first season at TNG for
Someone
something.
fact check that. Aha.
Hey.
Wink, wink.
I think they talked about Archer's dog. Somebody.
And they mentioned Archer's dog. About Scotty mentions it in the movies. I don't know if that ties in, if that's canonized with this universe or not. But they don't ever mention anybody else, even to Paul, from the Enterprise series in history wise. Like you would think those would be, hey, Uhura would have mentioned something about Hoshi being the first communications officer, and I strive to learn as many languages as she did, or whatever. Or security guards being like, hey, I remember the Makos and how they dealt with the Zindies and with Reed.
Good point. Or Spock talking about.
I mean, that's the problem with having a prequel. John B says.
And it's also mentioned in Lower Decks as well.
Yeah, but Lower Decks is after Enterprise. Did anything before Enterprise mention Archer? But I think John B had a couple.
The Makers were referencing Star Trek.
Oh,
Beyond.
the Makos. Yes. That's the problem with doing a prequel show after a whole bunch of 7-season series, right? Because the prequel show has to build its content based on, and it can't contradict anything that happens before. This is one of the big controversies with Strange New Worlds, right? Strange New Worlds is leading into, if you look at the Star Trek timeline, Strange New Worlds is leading into TOS. But it's kind of
a different timeline and different universe.
But they're saying it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be leading into TOS.
So and this I guess is a big controversy. So that show that I was telling you that I was watching before we started ours today mentioned that the Kelvin timeline was in the time boot because you had the original Spock in there, clearly shows that it's a multiverse, that it's not the same timeline.
No, the reboot, the 2009s are a reboot, but
no, what I'm saying is that Discovery and Strange New Worlds is in the Kelvin timeline, not the TOS timeline.
No.
Hey.
No.
I mean, where are you breaking it down from? There's a lot of similar things, but there's a lot of other things that take place that are never referenced. Spock mentions his brother in the TOS timeline.
Sam?
In the movie. No, I said Spock.
Oh.
Don't show me your pain.
Sarek?
Yeah. He mentions him in the movie and in the series, but never ever once, even after all the
Sarek was
shit's
his
been
dad.
done. Yeah,
Who
Sarek
was
is his
his
dad.
brother? Savik?
Sabek.
No, that was the
Sabek.
girl.
Sabak.
So
Sabak?
Spock.
Let's just keep
John B,
guessing.
what do you think?
Can we just keep guessing names
it's
that
Frank.
end with names that end with K?
His brother Daryl and his other brother Daryl.
No, it is. It's
So your theory is Discoveries and Strange New Worlds is on the Kelvin timeline.
I feel that it's on the Kelvin timeline, not on the TOS timeline.
But it hasn't happened yet.
Cybok. That's what it is.
Yeah, there you
So
go.
Spock mentions
Man in
Cybok.
the
It
chair.
did
And
end with
only
a K.
now. So only now did the
See?
last episode.
John
of
B
the-
saying it's not Kelvin.
Okay, well, I mean,
That's his strong belief.
okay. Then how do you? In fact, in the 32nd century, last season of Discovery.
Oh, wait. Oh, it is the prime. It is the Kelvin timeline.
Huh.
I don't remember that. When did they reference the Kelvin timeline in Discovery?
Gonna have to
I
watch
don't
the
remember.
last season.
I remember them mentioning Cybok on the last one.
Yeah, but wasn't Cybok
Discovery?
in a movie?
He was in a movie, but he's
Final
also
Frontier.
Final Frontier. where he says, "Wait, what does God need with a starship?" But then he mentions to Pike, "Hey, who is this person?" When he's dealing with the female Vulcan, I was like, "Hey, she's kind of hot. You know, who's that?" And she turns to stab him in the back, and he's like, "Yeah, we want to trade for these prisoners. You know, who's this prisoner that he wants so desperately?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's my brother Cybok."
Oh, he says they reference someone who jumped from the Kelvin timeline. So they jumped.
Beetlejuice jam.
Well, the only person I can think of that, I mean, then who jumped? Well, that would mean that Lorca is a jumper, that Giorgio is a jumper.
Yeah, but those are universe jumpers, not timeline jumpers.
That's the multiverse. That's the
but timeline is different than multiverse.
Time traveler.
Why?
Yeah.
It's the same.
You're just jumping and back and forth in time.
So you're saying you can jump from one timeline to the other.
And you're jumping from, when you do that, you're jumping multiverses.
Chat short. Okay.
So the thing, so I get what you're saying, but I'm saying my personal belief on this. Oh, that sucks. I was about to rewatch those too.
Yeah, I was trying to look. I couldn't find it on there.
Yeah, Cybok's in the main canon timeline.
Well, so is Kirk. So is Scotty. They're all in the same timeline, but it's multiverse.
Right.
But what I'm saying is the Discovery is a different universe from TOS. And there's subtle hints that lead me to believe that. Y'all can decide on your own, but I believe they're totally different universes.
So you're saying that
the other reason is, look what happened with who's La'an and Kirk jump out of time to deal with Khan.
Right. So you're saying that the way Strange New Worlds is going to probably steer towards is aligning with the Kelvin timeline.
I think so, unless we're dealing with 3 totally different timelines, like 3 totally different Spider-Men. And this is what I was talking about before, of them rebooting shit instead of just moving forward. We have 3 Batman, 3 Spider-Man, 3 Superman, and you never get past 3 episodes of any of them without fucking moving forward. And Discovery has opportunity. Okay, you've at least explained this is tied together, but loosely. Different timeline ties. So if you take the original TOS, that ties into the Kelvin reboot with Spock and Spock, which then ties into Strange New Worlds and Discovery. I get that we want to see how that plays out, but fucking, you got to keep moving forward instead of doing a soft reboot. And I really hope they don't try and do this Academy show like Enterprise and, oh, well, this is just a holodeck program from the old school, blah, 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 and we're really restarting the universe again. Now we have a black female Kirk. Her name is Janice Kirk. Not to say that there's anything wrong with that, but that's just the wokeness.
I agree. I hope they use their imagination. They keep going back and rebooting and go forward, like you're saying. Thinking, man,
it's to the point where people are making fun of life and saying this is how we can prove we're living in the Matrix. We don't come up with new shit.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like they turned off creativity in the year.
What happened to your imagination?
In the year 2000, they turned off creativity.
Yeah, I mean, look at I'm not hating on the blockbuster movies out there, but even though I like all the Marvel movies, and it's awesome to see, someone from my generation that grew up reading those comics, to see them done well in a TV show or a movie. But fuck, now we're getting a Fantastic Four for the third time.
What is up with that? I have no desire to watch that.
John B likes Trek movies moving forward, or when Trek moves forward and not rehash. Yes, let's move forward. Let's fill in let's move to places that have never been told before.
Or and you could just, and I know Tom hates this theory. Like I said, you can move forward by telling about the past because you're not locked in. Having a Starfleet Academy show that shows, hey, this is what Kirk did. Yes, we know he's going to be a captain of the Enterprise. We know that. But man, if you made that shit like a Saved by the Bell fucking episode during the Kirk era, and just, hey, you see a guy off in the distance. Oh, yeah, that's Kirk. Oh, yeah, well, that guy over there is Spock. Well, fuck those dudes. We're going to go do this. We're trying to steal a mascot from another dorm. That would be awesome. I mean, but it's new and it's completely different. Or showing, like I said, the World War III aspect and how we got to the warp drive and all that. Or like Tom says.
Sounds like you're trying to make the movie old school in the Starfleet Academy.
That would be awesome. Or
Blue! You're my boy, Blue!
And have it be a blue alien, too.
There's a lot of things that haven't been addressed that needs to be addressed. And there's just seems like there's no imagination to do so.
I mean, you could literally pick up Discovery again with a totally new crew, same ship, but now you're living up to the Discovery name. Go discover all those lost people and all those lost ships that don't know we've solved the burn and that they can use warp drive again. Go find those generational ships. Hey, you know what? Kirk and Spock, they transported a planet of miniature people eons ago, millennia ago. Go find out what's up with them. Go discover some shit. Not just rehash some shit and stop with the goddamn dancing.
This is SETI Alpha 5.
SETI Alpha 5.
Yeah.
If anyone's interested in picking up I think these are like metal replicas, like miniatures. This is the USS Titan from Fan Home. I think they're like $65 each, but they're supposedly metal and very finely detailed. I don't know. I get these Star Trek alerts, and this is just some of the stuff that pops up. There's not a lot of news, so this is just what pops up.
What are you alerting in then?
Anything with the word Star Trek.
And what though? Are you using Bing or Google?
No, just Google alerts.
You should switch up to Bing because I get alerts on Star Trek.
I ain't doing no Bing.
I get stories on Star Trek all the time.
I mean, I get a lot of stories too, but like right now, a lot of it's about William Shatner speaks up on his tinnitus, and how he struggled. And that's like 50 articles and all different publications, and you get 50 different Google alerts about it. So there's a bunch of stories that come out, and I just try to sift through them. Like that whole thing with the short I posted about Ironheart. Riri says, I thought we were Trekkies for life. I posted that, and that did good on TikTok. So, that came from a Google alert.
I think that's because that came out like this last week.
Yeah, because I didn't watch Ironheart because the reviews are just so bad. I'm not watching it.
I did.
Okay.
I watched it.
All right, let's go to the next one.
It's not as bad as you think it is. But yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do with it. The first 3 episodes are out, and I watched it on Friday, and I'm like, okay, are they gonna drop them weekly or like all the other Marvel ones, or are they gonna?
I think they're just doing 3 and 3. It's just 6 episodes.
Oh well, that's
season
dumb.
1 is 6 episodes.
Well,
all right,
so
we're gonna do a guess who. Who's ready for this? Everybody in the chat, get ready. When they were young.
That looks like Spock.
Beaver Cleaver. Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even take my boomstick yet. Let me go ahead and hit this.
Oh, I know who that is. It's Michelle Yeoh on the left.
What?
Let's not count Britney Spears.
Spears.
Let's talk about the dude with the huge teeth.
It's Rob Lowe.
Anson Mount.
Oh man, yes, yeah.
He's grinning because he tapped that
His
Britney.
teeth is- No, because his teeth are large.
Yeah, he got big teeth.
Is he just premature gray
I gave
in
it.
real life?
No, he's old now.
Not that old.
Alexa, how old is Anson Mount?
31.
I'm premature gray.
Oh, shit.
How old is he?
52.
Oh,
shit.
damn. He old as dirt.
Yeah.
Motherfucking, you're 52.
He needs to call it a day. That dude needs to ride off into the sunset.
Tommy needs to grow his hair out.
All right, here we,
No, I
next,
can see. I can
You
see
look
the
just like
gray
Pike.
stubble.
next one's going to be tough.
Holy smokes.
And it's a main character. It's not like one of the ones and dones like on TOS.
Troy?
Nah, that looks more like Dax.
Pictures in black and
But
white, fam.
If I take black and white pictures, shit.
I don't think it was a choice.
Okay. So that leads to. All
Wow.
right, there you go. What is
I meant because they didn't have color back then.
Oh,
Pavitt or not Pavitt? Polanski.
oh,
Oh.
close, but not close enough.
I think
Yeah,
she
I
had some
guess
work on that.
I guess she went by a different name when she was younger.
Oh, I thought it was the kid, Crusher.
You thought it was Wesley?
Wait, what name did she go by? What name did she go by in her younger days?
I think it was Cheryl Gates
Spank me, Gates.
and not Gates McFadden. Or maybe Cheryl McFadden?
I wonder if that's because she did some questionable work.
Well, that's how you get into Hollywood.
She didn't want to get Laverne. She didn't want to get confused with Laverne and Shirley.
All right, here's the next one.
I know that guy. That's Spock. Homeless guy.
Jessica says she was, yes, Cheryl Gates McFadden was a professional choreographer. Actually, she did
Hi, Jessica.
choreography
Hi, Jessica.
for
Welcome to the
she did choreography, I think, for the Muppet Show,
Oh,
among other things.
How the fuck do you choreograph Muppets?
I don't know. Play the Oonga Boonga thing. I don't know. All right, did we already guess who the homeless guy is?
Brent.
Oh,
Spiner.
yeah, Brent Spiner.
All right. Oh, I'm on the wrong screen.
She did the choreography on Labyrinth.
Yes.
What
Yeah,
the fuck
she
is
was big time.
We got a woman in the chair now.
Oh, when they were young.
Oh, I know who that is. I can't think of the guy's name.
That's the
It's on Discovery.
yeah, he's
Fuck.
the thing on.
Fuck.
Volk.
Ash.
Section 31. We'll call him
No,
Section
so
31.
you know what? So I just realized is I was gonna mention this a long time ago when it first came out. I was like, why does Ash look like Ash Ketchum from Pokemon? Like, if the world of Pokemon turned out to be part of the Star Trek world, and this is Ash Ketchum.
What?
Gates is
Never
her middle
mind.
name. Okay. Not just her club name.
Why not Door or
She did
questionable work, but
question
it
work
was
with the
all
Muppet.
Muppets. Hey, people have had their kinks all the way back in the black and white days.
Oh,
Oh, we're gonna do. We got one IMDb quiz. Okay, see if you can name who this person is. And she had a role. She had a couple episodes of Star Trek: The Next Generation.
so she's a girl.
She's a girl. I've already said the she. But she's in some big movies like Double Jeopardy and Bug. Bug, that came on HBO, and I probably watched it a lot, but it was just such a terrible movie. But I did watch it a lot. I don't know why.
It's Oh, never mind. I thought that was crossing Jordan.
And she went to the University of Kentucky.
Yeah, I don't know.
Chat. Oh, Crewman Sherry in the chair.
Oh, look at that.
She's looking to take over. She's just up on her TMZ.
Look, man.
Come on,
look.
Jessica.
John B. and Crewman Sherry, y'all could be co-people in the chair like on Lower Deck. Co-first officers.
All right, let's do some quotes. Here we go. Headphones on, everybody.
If you can't take a little bloody nose, maybe you ought to go back home and crawl under your bed. It's not safe out here.
Damn, she said that with a little bit of attitude.
Yes.
Like she want to fight.
Because it was hot out here.
Dr. Pilgrim, you probably know who that was.
One more time.
If you can't take a little bloody nose, maybe you ought to go back home and crawl under your bed. It's not safe out here.
I'm going to go with I have no idea.
Oh, the answer's right there. I shouldn't have went forward.
Patty
If you
said,
can't take a little bloody nose, maybe you ought to go back home and crawl under your bed. It's not safe out here. It's wondrous.
I thought it was Michael.
See, if she had put that wondrous in there, that would have given it away.
Because that's only a thing he would say.
Yes.
All right, next one. Here we go.
When I was very young, I was stricken with an odd disease. I developed a hypersensitivity to sound. Even the slightest whisper caused me agony. No one could do anything about it.
Ooh. Ooh. One more time. John B., pay attention.
When I was very young, I was stricken with an odd disease. I developed a hypersensitivity to sound. Even the slightest whisper caused me agony. No one could do anything about it.
By the way, the captions there, Da Vinci Resolve 20.
I was just going to say that.
Manga.
I have the answer.
Oh, you know who that is?
Picard's clone. I can't think of the movie.
Oh, Shenzon.
Yeah.
Let's see if you're right.
Booyah.
When I was very young, I was stricken with an odd disease. I developed a hypersensitivity to sound.
Do you know who that actor is?
Yes. I can't think of his name. He's big now. He's bulked up and everything.
He's Venom.
Tom Hardy.
Venom. Yeah, Tom Hardy.
Yeah. Or he's, what's his name on the Batman movies?
Bane.
Yeah, Bane. Hey. Oh,
Cute.
John B. John B. is, he's in his chair. He's in the wrong chair.
Your chair is in a different timeline.
All right, let's do a quick little quiz on regulations. I only got 10. I chopped off the other 30.
Ah, damn.
I know. Which regulation, and this is all going to be guessing, which regulation prohibits interference with the development of alien civilizations?
Hey.
Mgyx is going A. Are you going to go with a different one just to disagree?
I mean, technically, it depends on your timeline or your time. It's A, or B, the answer's not up here.
I'm going to say C.
It's A.
C. I knew it was A, but I just want to disagree.
All right, let's do another one. Try to disagree now.
Which
Which order bans capital punishment for Federation citizens?
A.
A? What are you going
A.
with? You're both going A. It's General Order 7A. Forbids the death penalty. Unless you go to Talos 4.
Yep.
Which is crazy to think that.
Wow. And look what I got in my hand. It's a Talos for the cage communicator.
Hold it up. Go out there like that with it. He's got the communicator from Talos 4.
My latest acquisition. Pretty cool.
Yes. If you were here, you could see it and feel it and touch it with your hands.
Oh, my.
You could hold it in your palm. Oh, my. Which rule requires officers to report breaches of protocol?
A.
Hold on.
Miss Pilgrim, these are for the very,
Dr.
very
Pilgrim.
deeply troubled Trekkies.
Emotional damage.
Wait, which one did you go with?
I didn't go yet. Which rule requires officers to report breaches of protocol? B.
B. Duty code 2.
You said duty.
What are you going with, Mgyx?
I went with A.
All right, here we go. It's
See?
C.
That's what it says.
Starfleet Reg 619. You have to report this stuff. It's on Voyager Equinox Part
I
1.
know. It's so stupid.
Which code allows a medical officer to declare a commanding officer unfit? Ooh.
A.
Yeah, I agree.
You're going A? Not with Medical Regulation 121? No. It is A. Starfleet Regulation 104, Section A, as mentioned in TNG episode Chain of Command.
Magic and I have seen too many A's.
Which
Right.
protocol prevents senior officers from being assigned to the same away mission in dangerous areas?
B.
B. Away Team Regulation 3. Mgyx is going to say
I'm gonna go with B.
B. You went with B.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are too agreeable today.
No,
I mean, because it makes sense, right?
Saving Private Ryan. That's a real rule.
Oh.
You know, it's based on that movie.
But they have different names for it.
Yeah.
All right. Which directive ensures ships respond to all Federation distress signals? Starfleet Rescue Mandate, Protocol 17, or General Order 6?
C.
C. Yeah. General Order 6.
Go 6.
So you know what
Yeah.
this is? What this is, right? This is like I sat in training for 5 hours, barely watched because I was playing Clash of Clans or something on my phone. And I've got to dissect the answer based on the question and the possible answers given. And that's what this is.
That's why I kept it at 10.
Most illogical.
Which rule mandates immediate medical treatment regardless of species? Federation Charter 9, Starfleet Reg 121, or Medical Protocol 4?
C.
C.
You're both going C? All right, let's see. Let's see
But
if
it may
it's
be
C.
B. But I'm gonna go with C.
C.
Oh, shit. Oh, I don't have the answer.
What? So it's C then.
Damn, you dumb.
All right. We'll have to go back to that one.
All right, one of our people in the chair, Google that answer.
What do you think, Doc?
Which rule mandates immediate medical treatment regardless of species? I'll have to figure out why that's not that
Hold
answer
on,
is
let me
missing.
try something. Alexa, what is Starfleet Regulation 121?
Regulation 2010. At the discretion of the chief medical officer, officers who are emotionally compromised, inhabitants
That's something else.
or are otherwise
Alexa, stop.
All right.
Alexa, what is Medical Protocol 4?
Do you have Lexa in here?
Not that we can hear. She can hear us, though.
Alexa, red alert.
Stop. Alexa, what?
Did you hear
No,
it?
it's not going to be that. So yeah, I'm going to go with C.
All right.
I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, shut up.
All right. Which law forbids the use of cloaking technology without a special authorization?
A.
Yeah.
Everybody going A? I think that's too easy. Yeah, that's from the Pegasus. That's the one where Riker had to, get crazy with his admiral.
Also mentioned in DS9 when they get the Defiant.
Yeah.
But well, kind of. It's name dropped in it because the cloaking they got was from Romulans, not Federation.
Which guideline authorizes Starfleet to quarantine a planet to prevent contamination? Planetary Containment Order, that's A. B is Health Directive 7, or C, Starfleet Reg 102?
I say C. John B., what do you think?
He's behind. He's in his pool right now. You going C? What's Magic's going?
Magic?
What is planetary containment order?
Health Directive 7, you're both wrong. It's B. Health Directive 7 allows quarantine of entire worlds to stop the spread of harmful contagions, as seen in Next Generation episode The Hunted.
Missed it by that much.
So close.
Right. We ain't found shit.
Which rule requires personnel to secure all logs before abandoning ship? EP1, EVC, ECR, or Starfleet Reg 748?
B.
You going
I'm
B?
gonna go with C.
C sounds better. What are you going with?
I'm
B?
going with B.
All right, he's sticking to his guns.
See? Told you it was C.
Starfleet Regulation 748, as seen in DS9, The Adversary. I think that's the last one. Oh, wait, this is the last one. Which regulation forbids the violation of a superior's direct order without just cause? Starfleet Regulation 256.15, the Command Structure Rule, or the Chain Compliance Rule?
A. I say A.
What are you going with, Magix? John B says A.
I'm gonna go with A.
Everyone's going A. It is. Because it's so specific. Just makes you think that's the answer. 256.15. Prohibits disobeying a superior's order.
All right, Dan.
Again,
sounds like
another one
something
from the
Data-
Pegasus. The Pegasus had a lot of conflict.
I chose that one because it sounds like something Data would say.
Yeah. John B says A.
He's on top of it.
And transmission. Good show.
Oh, I didn't check our audio.
What do you mean
Beforehand.
check our audio?
I didn't check our audio to make sure that we were not having some quadrangle issues.
I'm a doctor, not a
John B
mechanic.
is calling out another person in the chat.
John B. knows who Dr. Pilgrim is.
Okay.
All three of us worked together at one point. And still do.
Okay.
Good stuff. Really good stuff.
Well, definitely. Thanks for coming out.
We definitely appreciate y'all's. I had this question. When we were talking about the whole timeline of World War III, and then when we jump into being able to go to warp speed, where there's just such a short timeline, but then society changes, there's no money and all this other stuff. Here's my thought. Does anybody think that some of this technology might already exist?
Yes.
Like, do you think we might already have these types of, maybe not a warp drive, but some type of technology that we can go very, very fast, travel in space? I mean, I think that there's probably programs where this stuff's already happening.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure there's things that we have no idea about.
Remember last year when there was all these sightings of stuff?
Yes.
Mag guns.
What about like directed energy weapons?
No, mag guns. Well, directed energy weapons are closer to sound waves. The sound wave thing, that's been around since like World War One. Like
Yeah.
literally sound waves. So mag guns are basically projectiles that are shot off by magnets. Literally, they're silent. They're just like regular guns and shoot just as fast as a regular gun, but they're silent. A lot more than a regular gun. They do make some noise. But if you take that same technology, you have mag rail systems in Vegas for their trams, and in China for their super trains, or whatever they're called, the bullet trains. So if you take that same technology and apply it to a car, you have that. So in, was it Tokyo or Kyoto? There's an area where there's a lot of people that are walking around, and the streets have this pressure sensor in them. And your kinetic energy of walking on these like cobblestones, that like barely that much, is with hundreds of thousands of people doing it daily, generates enough energy to power the city.
Right.
So the question is that if you have just your general populace walking around and doing that, why are they not doing that in larger areas like Vegas or New York? You know, why are we still dependent on these things? And that's where Tom was like, well, I don't think we're ever going to get rid of money. It's greed. I mean, we have the means of getting off fossil fuels, but we choose not to because of greed, because it would have a global impact. If we all of a sudden stopped importing oil to fuel these things, we're no longer dependent on people for a certain aspect of things. And that's going to have a global financial impact on the world and the companies.
But you think going into World War III, like as portrayed in the Star Trek universe, said, you know what? All this greed needs to go away, and let's just try to improve humanity.
No, I don't think people said we need to get rid of greed. I think greed got gotten rid of because of World War III. Financial institutions crumbled. You didn't have any more business. They literally nuked the planet. So it's literally, you know, what was the movie with Matthew Broderick with the Whopper? War Games. Thermonuclear war happened, and it destroyed majority of the shit on the planet. So it wasn't like hey, let's get rid of this. It just went away because there was no financial institutes. There was no stock market back then. You had countries, and this is why I said there needs to be, maybe this is going to be one of those canon things that they never answer, and it's just left that way, because John B is saying, you know, there's a 10-year difference between the end of World War III and First Contact. I don't think the world would be able to rebuild itself in that 10-year span, because I'm pretty sure nuclear weapons would still have eradicated the majority of the planet. So, and if they're based on anything like our systems are, large areas, New York, LA, Washington, them motherfuckers are gone. So, you know, you don't have a financial institute. And that's why I think the bartering system, like if you ever watch the show Revolution, where we lose the EMP takes out the world.
Right.
I don't think it was an issue if they just said, hey, let's get rid of it. I think it was got rid of forcibly by the nuclear war.
Ooh,
but I don't.
I gotta go get a refill. Keep going.
I don't think that gives enough time for the world to rebuild itself to a point where Cochrane's like, hey, we're not worried about food and drink and whatnot. But then again, they're probably all a bunch of NASA engineers and geeks, so they probably have a ways of doing a lot of bushcraft work without it being called bushcraft. Well, I mean, think about it. If you took a rocket scientist, he's like, all right, we need to make fuel. A rocket scientist is going to be like, oh, I need a lab. He's not going to be like, oh, I need a lab. He's going to say, oh, we need to gather some wood. I need some metal containers. And then I'm going to build a wood stove where I'm going to extract the alcohol from the wood. It's going to byproduct of charcoal, so we always have something to burn. But it's also going to extract wood gas out of there as well. And but backwoods people or country folk are just going to call that, you know, bushcrafting. An engineer is going to call that, no, I'm extracting wood gases from here, creating a byproduct, but it's the same result. Just like taking ocean water and desalinization of ocean water. You know, people call it bushcrafting or taking dirty water and making it drinkable or potable.
Right.
An engineer is going to call it, oh, I'm going to desalinate this ocean water by boiling it, causing a gas, and then I'm going to capture the steam that's off of that, and it's going to leave a byproduct of salt. So we have salt to use for other things. Whether I think you can do iodine with it and a couple other things with the salt that's left behind.
Yeah,
But-
man has been here because he has the ability to adapt. You know, he's smart enough to adapt.
But are we smart enough to adapt in a 10-year period after the end of World War III to get back to space travel?
Yeah, I don't know.
I understand there's a missile silo. I mean,
Right.
I don't know how many Minutemen silos you guys have out there. I don't know if there's any, but I know that there's some in California. And I believe there's some in Arizona still, because Tucson has one there. We used to go there a couple of times. But if you were to take a Minuteman silo and a missile, I mean, you do have your initial launch out of orbit set up, but then adding don't forget there's a space shuttle still in operation. Space Force has it, and they launch it from time to time.
Do you think without World War III that we will ever evolve to like the next phase?
No.
So you think that right now there's too much greed, there's too much corruption. Maybe just life is too easy.
So remember that saying, that quote that I used to scream, hard times make tough men and weak times make pussies, basically. Or weak times make for, I was just saying, I forgot what it is.
How
We
dare
need
you?
something that is going to spark a need. And right now there is no need. There just isn't. I mean, you got Elon doing some shit, but there's no actual global need for it. That's fortunate. Before, we had the space race with Russia, which basically was a ploy to get backing for government spending and get the United States as a general public to back up funding NASA, everything else, because, hey, the Ruskies are going to do it, and, you know, if you don't, we're going to get invaded. But that need is no longer here anymore. But it doesn't have to be a World War III. It could be a global pandemic, which we come close to, and we're supposed to get another one. We need something that is going to spark the need for invention.
I don't know if pandemic's going to work anymore.
Or the need to unveil some shit that's already here.
What about
It could be a
alien
pandemic.
invasion?
It could be an alien invasion. It could be a global tragedy. A huge tsunami. It takes out.
Yeah.
Hey, when's the last time you heard of a tsunami hitting the U.S. other than Hawaii? But what would happen
San
if one hit?
Francisco.
I haven't heard of a tsunami hitting San Francisco.
You know, with Elon, I remember his first not his first rockets. The first time I've seen two of his rockets at the same time going up, taking off, and then landing intact. I was thinking, man, is that special effects or did that really happen? And that was so many years ago, and now he has rockets going up and down, and just it seems like the last two or three, they've been blowing up. And I'm wondering, is that mistakes or is that sabotage? You know, it just
put on your tinfoil hat.
Yeah, it's something to think about.
Or is that a means because he's getting paid? Because he's basically the world's Uber to the ISS right now. But is that his way of saying, hey, we're pushing this too far, you're blowing up, but hey, we've been working on a new shuttle system since 2011. I forgot when the last shuttle flight was.
Who's ever watched? Has anybody watched Foundation?
Yes, but I think Elon is them blowing up is gonna be what warrants government spending on or releasing of the new NASA's space shuttle or Space Force, whatever you want to call it, I think that is a means for him to justify, oh, well, Elon's blowing up all of his rockets and Virgin never really went into orbit. So we're going to go ahead and go back to having the government do this. Oh, but we've been working on the new space shuttle program for a minute now, and we're going to utilize these old Titan missiles, not Minuteman missiles.
What about Bezos' rocket?
The one with the girl
The
power
girls,
astronauts?
or Shatner himself, he went up. You
Those
know.
those are not, so according to a lot of people, they never went into orbit. They just went up and went back down. You got weightlessness, but you did not achieve orbit, because achieving orbit is apparently going up and out, going down range, so that you're going fast enough.
What's
to
the
not
name of that
fall back
radiation belt that some people say we can't get through?
Cochrane?
No, the Van
Halen.
And
someone in the
I was
chair.
gonna call it a Kyber belt, but I was like, no, that's Star Trek or Star Wars.
Van
Van something
Gorkum.
belt.
No, that's
what.
But I think there's a lot of time that we have left. And honestly, I think we would benefit more. I get that people want to leave the planet, and we're destined to leave this planet, and we do need to leave this planet. But I think before you can do that, you need to learn more about this planet, like going to the bottom of the oceans and going to these places on this rock.
Yes.
On this rock that we're on, that we've never seen, and we have is completely unexplored. Because here's one thing, it sucks. You could send somebody up into space, but look how long it takes to get someone there to rescue you. You could send someone down to the ocean, and you could literally have hundreds of countries readily available there to launch a rescue mission, versus launching a space shuttle that you don't have at all.
And there's still so much to learn.
Submersible, and let's say that whichever one just imploded, if they had a submarine down there at the same time, like, because subs can get down to the Titanic,
right?
So you can be like, hey, yo, we see that there's a problem, we need to rescue them.
I heard on the Titanic, this true story, that the pools in the Titanic still is holding water.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Hey, do you think that the reason why there's not, like, I know this is very tinfoil hat stuff, but like medical breakthroughs, right? Do you think there's actually cures to all these diseases, but because it's not profitable, they're just keeping it under wraps? Like,
I think so.
Or they're like I saw some guy get canceled. Some guy got canceled because he said, you know what, if they give you the cancer cure pill and you take it and you're cured, the medical industry is making no more money off of you.
Right.
Yeah. The profit is in the treatment.
Yeah.
So I mean,
not the cure. Keeping you sick is profitable.
Exactly. So think of it this way: we had a pandemic.
Crewman Sherry says a hundo.
And within what, 6 months, we had a cure that was labeled as a what the hell did they call it?
Was it a cure?
Not a booster.
Vaccine
for it. We had a vaccine for it within 9 months. Something we had never seen before. Wiped out all these people. Almost 100% fatality rate. And then all of a sudden we have a vaccine that almost has 100% success rate. You just see boosters consistently. Within 9 months. It took us years to cure polio and other shit. Yet all of a sudden, when now it's like, oh shit, something got out, we wanted to keep this a little bit more under wraps, a little bit more controllable. now you got a cure basically in 9 months. You had AIDS that came out. There was no cure for that. But yet, every rich and famous person that's ever gotten it is still here.
So tying this back to Star Trek,
the average Joe that has it, HIV, AIDS, still has to take treatments and dies.
So tying it back to Star Trek is in a society where there's no greed and it's just trying to better humanity, all of this medical innovation can just be released. Any kind of innovation, right? Like there's even people that say there's like some guy invented a hydrogen powered engine, right? The engine that just runs off water, but the oil industry went out and had that dude silenced because that just ruins their oil industry profits.
Okay. So, and a lot of people say that's just tinfoil hat. That's BS. You know, that's just an urban legend. I happen to believe it because why was all of the EV1 cars pulled? Jay Leno's was the last one. Why were they buried out between Phoenix and Tucson? Why? That makes no sense. Why? Because it fucks with the oil industry.
Yeah.
What was happening at that time was start of Kuwait, start of the whole, we need to go there for the oil and everything else. They were burning all their oil to prevent the U.S. from coming in during Desert Storm and Iraqi freedom and all that. Oh, no, they burned all the fuels. Oh, we've got to get there. We've got to do that. We got to save it. And now we're dependent on it because they burned so much oil, yet you're pulling off a car that doesn't require it.
Well, it does. It does
20
require
years
it.
later,
What
it requires minimal.
And the EV car still requires oil. It uses brake fluid. It uses Freon for the AC. It uses other oils and
require gas.
No,
Right.
it doesn't.
The gas.
And that's the primary thing that it was used for. We have enough oil in the U.S. We have enough oil in the military-wise. If we didn't have a need for a military, there would be enough oil in the U.S. to support the country. But we have a military, and that they take the majority of the oil.
In my opinion, I think hybrid cars are the way to go. We are just not advanced enough in the battery. I mean, it's a great idea, but what charges those batteries? What does it take to charge those batteries? What do you do?
I think it is a offshoot. So I think we have the technology to do it. We're not given the backing to do it because of people that are pushing pencils around. So one of the things that somebody said was, all right, you want to quit using plastics, or, it was some interview with a farmer and a chick who was like, it's inhumane farming. I'm like, oh, so you just want to stop killing meat and doing that. So he's like, okay, well, you just pulled that question up on your phone, and that phone is made out of plastic and metal, which required oil to make. That leaves a huge the carbon footprint is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
I think the carbon footprint argument is what's preventing general populace from saying, yo, all you greedy motherfuckers, shut the fuck up and let these people cook for a minute and let's see what they could do. I think the carbon footprint is like, oh, well, you're not saving that big of a carbon footprint. You're using just as big of one, to produce this, then we are just using oil. And that's an infrastructure we already have, just like the light bulb and Tesla's electricity, wireless electricity. And people are like, there's no way you could have wireless electricity. Yet now we charge our phones wirelessly on a pad. And some cheap ass China ones, you can pull your phone out about that much and it'll still charge. So
I've had one that actually melted, but it was a cheap China one. It's
John B. says, capitalism is not to build an advanced society. Capitalism is to reward the ones with capital.
And you're agreed.
Like you got money, you can make money.
Exactly.
I put some punctuation in there for him.
The whole, we were growing up like, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. motherfucker, you gotta have money to buy boots. So if you ain't got boots, what are you pulling yourself up by?
Strap them
You need
boots
a leg
on.
up.
So, if we tie this all back to Star Trek, which is our goal here,
magnetism.
are you saying that
Lithium crystals.
World War III again has to happen for any of this to go into effect?
We need some sort of global catastrophe, whether it's World War III, a planetary pandemic, alien invasion. Something has to happen.
Could we survive an alien invasion?
Fuck no. Not unless we're Vulcans. Not unless they're nice.
But what about that top secret stuff that we have that we don't know about?
I'll put it to this way.
Sonic weapons.
Did the Indians survive Pilgrims? No.
Yeah, but they didn't have top secret weapons.
Yeah, I'm sure they did. And
The Indians did?
But it wasn't enough. I'll put it to you this way. All right. Oh, here.
We're going to put some poison on the arrowheads.
Let me put it in a more logical aspect of things. Falling Skies is a great TV series, so this kind of goes along that edge. If we can't leave the planet for any type of substantial amount of time, we're not going to be able to win against a species who can. We can't go kick it in Mars right now and be like, hey, we're going to go to Mars. We're going to do some scientific experiments. We're going to build some habitats there. We'll be back in 30 days.
But you remember War of the Worlds? When those aliens came and started eating humans, but then they came across humans that were sick, and then the aliens started dying because they were eating humans that were sick, and they didn't realize humans had so many diseases.
That is a very big thing, and then there is that thing, but and that's where you take entertainment licensing into effect, because that same role plays the opposite way. Those aliens come here, they got a whole bunch of alien diseases, and now we're dying. So same thing applies, but and so if you just look at it from a technological aspect, and anybody who watches Stargate will kind of get this. We have shuttles, they have spaceships. You know, they can travel faster than light. Even if they can't travel faster than light, they can leave their solar system, their planet, come here, stop, come down, do whatever they want. We can't do any of that.
John B. says, just like World War II, the Civil War, and the Revolutionary War, we need to have a cultural reset, and it seems to happen every 80. And I think we're right at about the 80, right, since World War II.
What? Somebody else, I think we talked about this before on the old show.
Yeah.
About that reset about every 80 to 88 years where things need to happen to warrant.
I'm good on drink.
Technology. That's because you're already faded.
Yeah. My mind's already open.
We're not talking like Thanos. We're talking about, I guess another way to look at it is a forest has to burn down in order to make room for new growth and for that forest to thrive. Otherwise, if it never burns down, nothing ever happens, it'll starve itself to death because there's too many trees and plants there taking up all the resources. So in a sense, it is kind of like Thanos when you put it that way, but I'm not talking about just killing everybody on the planet just with a snap of a finger. I'm saying we need every major scientific thing that we've done as a planet has been due to a need that was needed. The atomic bomb. We had to find a way to end the war with Japan without losing more people. We needed a bigger bomb to just be like, yo, shut the fuck up. We're going to drop this shit on you. You know, even after that, we came up with better bombs, nuclear bombs. And then we made so many more of them. I just watched a video graph, I guess, an infographic about the size of air forces. The U.S. has so many more machines.
Flying machines,
just in an air force at all, than anyone else. It is 4 times more than the second person. So we have air superiority for everything, whether that's cargo ships, sonar planes, radars, everything, fighters, bombers. It is 4 times larger than the next closest person, even with our allies. So we took it to an extreme with that, and all that's obviously after World War II, Vietnam, Korea, and everything else. I think we're not at a war right now, but I think if we keep pushing that, there's no, what is this? The metaphor I like to use is a Brazil nut tree is too big to fall. Until it does, and when it does, it leaves a hole in the canopy so other trees can grow. Exactly. They do that with the forests out here in California, with the redstones. They cut people, tree huggers were mad because they were cutting down these redwoods that were so big. And they're like, the trunks are so thick. They're like, why are you, cause that tree's hundreds of years old. Well, guess what? That tree is still producing, nuts and seeds to grow other trees, but it can't. It can't. None of those trees it grows can, because it's taking up so much space. It's the undergrowth that's so thick that none of the new trees can grow. So this tree is eventually going to die because it's eating up all the resources. So this tree needs to go now. This one tree has to go now, so 5 more trees can take over and last another 500 years. But you're saying, no, let the one tree, let the old tree stay up there and eat up all the resources.
Question.
That's dumb.
We were talking about the progenitors and how they planted the seeds of life across the universe. We'll call it the universe, right?
Yes.
And that's why everybody's the same size. But when, like, if they scan a planet, how come when a starship approaches a planet and they run a sensor on the planet, they might say, okay, there's some life forms, but what about, like, do they take into account, like, the creatures, right? Like the bugs, aren't those life forms? And what about, like, the raccoons and the squirrels and whatever else? Are none of those accounted for?
What do you mean?
And why, like in the episode we just watched of the animated series, why is everybody that lives on this planet, why are they all just in one city? Like, wouldn't there be farmers? Wouldn't there be people spread across the planet?
Maybe they stay together because of protection.
And isn't that like every episode? Like the whole civilization is on the planet, just lives in one place.
Unless I was going to bring this up, and I need to do some more research. It seems that unless they've reached warp capability, all the people are in one city. All the villagers are in one village. Like, you have an entire planet. Why has no one traveled? Like, it makes no sense. So right. Unless, like, the one
you can
Pike,
walk, right? You can build a boat or a hot air balloon. You can get around your planet.
Why is no one venturing out past their little villages?
Yeah, it's like city limits.
But it's a tribal thing. I mean, we as a people, we did that, but we eventually grew so big that we were forced to expand out. That's all another religious thing, but I don't want to get into that. But we were forced to expand out, and then look at that. You have not different species. You have different races based on your area and what your area needed. Well, some people had very little melanin because they didn't need it. A lot of people had a whole lot of melanin because you needed it.
I've just always wondered that, like, when these Enterprise or Discovery or whatever approaches a planet, it just seems like all the life of the planet is in one city, one community.
That's where all the fresh water was.
I think that question popped on my head the first time we played that Star Trek game, like 20 years ago on the computer, because you had to scan a planet, and I was spending all my time scanning around like the poles and everywhere else. And it's like, no, they're only there. I was like, yeah, but what about over here? Like, no, they're not over there. They're here. They're only here. But now you have games like Starfield where, yeah, you can explore an entire planet. which is what I really wish if they were to make another Star Trek game like that, you have that open world exploration like Starfield, where you can explore a planet. Like, all right, there's Earth. Well, there's several continents with several different civilizations. Which one do you go to? That's the other thing. If we got invaded by aliens, where would they go? Would they go to the denseless population with electronics?
Well, according to V and all the movies that come out, they go everywhere.
Okay.
Like they attack every city, right? Every big city gets attacked.
That's what I'm saying.
I think they would put sleeper cells in.
But
first.
like, even if you think about something like Avengers, right? When Thanos attacked Earth, he only went to Wakanda the first time.
I think they would put sleeper cells in. They
Like,
would have to do recon missions.
why
Like when
did they go to Wakanda?
when
That was
Thanos,
because they attacked, and that's where Vision was.
right? Because they just wanted the Mind Stone.
Right.
But when they like, if you looked at the backstory of Thanos, when they were showing how he like met Gamora, right? Like he went to her planet and then had everybody stand in two lines, and then one line got killed, the other line didn't, and that was how he got rid of half the population. But that was just one city.
I had to fix the TV for my mom, and it was stuck on that channel, and it was playing.
The
and I wondered,
Avengers channel.
It was FX. Avengers all over FX. So he did that with the planet because that came up right afterhand. He came across the Asgardian ship.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, why did he even attack the Asgardians? They already lost their entire planet.
Yeah.
There was like 10% of them left. Why would you cut that in half?
Wait, no, but they all lived in one city, just like in Star Trek.
They were spread out. I'm pretty sure they were spread out. But okay, so why did he kill everyone on the ship and not half of them? And then the question is this. Let's say they said, oh shit, we can't stay on this ship anymore. The Hulk and them, they fucked up. We got to jump ship. And they get onto another ship. And Thanos comes across that ship. Is he then going to cut that in half? Because now he done cut a quarter. He killed the first half. They got another ship he doesn't recognize. He kills him again. I mean, there's motherfuckers who are like, God damn, dude, how many times are you going to kill us?
Yeah, but he didn't destroy the planet, so he doesn't take credit for that.
No, what I'm talking about is the ships he comes across.
Right.
He kills half of the population on that ship.
Right.
So if they abandon that ship because it's too damaged or whatever, and they go to another ship that's brand new, let's say, hey, let's take our survival boat or whatever. There's 1,000 of us. Thanos snapped 500 of us away. Let's take our 500. We go on our ship. Let's go another way. Somehow Thanos comes back across this new boat again. Is he going to then kill that other 500 and chop it down to 250?
Yeah.
Because how is he going to know? Oh, I already killed y'all.
I saw somebody, I don't know if it was on their show or if it was on a podcast or something, but somebody said, why didn't Thanos just use the gauntlet to double the resources? Like, instead of killing half the people, just double the food.
Right. One of the other ones.
Can't have too many people.
Yeah.
What was it? Oh, it was actually a comic review. The other thing I said that was Brenton was, like you just said, all the planets, all the villages, whatever major cities are in one location. Why wouldn't you just say, okay, you 4 planets in the same solar system, you all get on one planet and you use your these other 3 planets to develop your own resources. That way you all have enough. Instead of each of you trying to struggle and you're all eating struggle meals, why don't you all consolidate your resources in one populace?
Put your MREs together. Yeah.
And same thing with Star Trek. You got Talos 1, 2, 3, and 4, and they got populaces on them. All right. Well, why don't y'all gather up? You know. Progenitors. So I'm wondering about the changelings. I mean, how did they come to be?
I think the progenitors didn't control everything. That's the what I'm thinking.
I think maybe they just shot their goo on the planets, kind of like Q and All Good Things.
Did the
And it's
progenitors make Q?
I don't know, but Q showed the primordial ooze. I was like, hey, you know, life is about to begin. That puddle is about to touch that puddle. That's going to create life. So is the primordial ooze the information that the progenitors put out there, or do they just sprinkle it with DNA and rocks and dirt and everything else and hope for it to eventually,
Life goo.
melt? You know, as Jeff Goldblum says from Drive, life finds a way.
What about Adam and Eve? Where does that come in, or does it?
I mean,
Whoa, that's a whole.
Yeah.
You trying to extend us a little too long here. I'm about to go do a long drain, but
John B. He says England used to say the same thing about their army. How many people they had around the world, they still lost a revolution. I think it's because England was their uniforms were red, and
Harry Potter,
and they were red, and the Americans, the English, or that wanted to break off from England, they used guerrilla tactics. And if you're looking in the woods and you see something wearing red, you shoot it. That's takes those guys out.
There's a couple of reasons I've read about this. One is what you just said. They were using formal, snooty practices of warfare.
Right.
Literally lining up entire troops in a line where you have, you know, the first crouch down and behind them.
Right.
And literally just, good cannonballs fucking them up. That was just dumb. And the overall attitude was, we're better than these people. We're civilized. We're polished. These people living in the frontier, they don't know anything. They're wallowing around with dirt with the natives.
Mm-hmm.
And the fucked up part is, the United States had that same thought process when it came to Vietnam. And
yes,
say
exactly.
You don't want, that Vietnam wasn't a war, it was a conflict. Hey, you say it wasn't a war because you got your ass kicked.
That's a great
I'm a
point.
product of Vietnam. My dad was in Vietnam, but that is you are going to do, like Tom and them used to say, the winner gets to say what it was. And this is the United States.
The winner writes the history.
Yes. The United States is definitely saying, no, it wasn't a war. It was a conflict, and we didn't lose. Yes, you did. You got your asses whooped when it came down to the loss of men, because we had that superior, holier than thou attitude, and we did have machinery. But if we just stuck to the machinery and didn't stick to less than, this kind of goes back to the whole need. Conflict pushes the need for something. A lot of the JDAM bombs came from the need to bomb people that were just surviving underground. Napalm was. Oh, John is now to bring that back to there for Ukraine. Okay.
Fuck around and find out.
Definitely. I mean, things like napalm came about because of Vietnam, because the forest was so dense. We were fighting somebody in their own backyard. And that is what people are afraid of now in the U.S. The fucked up part is, the U.S. doesn't really have their own backyard anymore because it's all cities. So it's going to come down to urban warfare. And the easiest way to take that down is, you're not going to have the manpower to attack the U.S. You're just going to have to bomb cities. You're going to turn Phoenix, L.A., New York into rubble, and then you're going to send troops in to clean up.
I think the final conflict will be when they do the rural areas, because out here in rural land, they're going to have a lot of fun. You know, everybody's got an AR. They got pallets of ammo, and
you're gonna have a Red Dawn situation.
Yes, exactly.
And that right there. So what you're describing, in my opinion, is the conflict that needs to occur, especially for the United States. Because if you live in a rural area, you're not going to be the first targeted unless you have Minutemen or Titan missiles silos around you, in which case, fortunately, you're probably going to be a target. But big populaces, New York, LA, Texas, Philly, those places are going to be hit. But then you're going to have that Red Dawn situation where people are going to come through that aren't touched by the mass, destruction. You're going to have a fallen skies situation where you have,
That's a show that was on TNT.
Every behind every blade of glass is an American with a gun, from a Japanese dude that from World War II. You awaken the sleeping giant. Yeah. But that's if we get attacked by somebody locally here. If we get attacked from outer space, I don't think it's really going to matter because, again, they came to our planet. We don't have the ability to leave. We're probably going to get our asses whooped. Just if you think of that, just that aspect, they have the technology to leave a planet, travel a great distance, stop, land.
I mean, that just means they have a massive power source like that. And that power source can drive things like weapons.
That power source means that you have the technology. You have that massive power source. That means you have the technology for faster than light or space travel.
Right.
Without the need for fuel. As it is right now, we can't go from here to the moon without taking our air, our oxygen, water, and fuel with us.
Yeah, we need huge ass tanks of fuel.
Right. If you have the technology to go, the furthest we've been, a light day away, I think just occurred or is occurring on Wednesday. That in itself, okay, we know that there's no planets out there that we've detected. We haven't detected any kind of signs, radio signals, anything like that. No, I mean, hell, we can't even look very far. You had a planet, you had a species that had built a ship that was large enough to come here, invade a planet, whether it was one big ship or a whole lot of little ships. You had the resources to do that. You have the scientific technology to build that power source and the technology to travel at that speed, which means you have the power source or the technology to produce those kind of weapons. All we have is basically sticks and stones and fire. Because if you think about it, that's all a gun is, just the equivalent of sticks and stones and fire put together. That's it. So, yeah, we would not survive. You better hope they are nice.
Right. All right, let's wrap it up. What are you watching this week?
Discovery. Or no, I'm sorry. Deep Space Nine.
DS9? You gonna Mgyx? You sticking with DS9?
Yeah. I got 1 or 2 more episodes to go until I actually get where I woke up.
All right.
I did watch My Man Bashir, and I think the next episode after that is where I was like, I don't remember watching this other show because they dropped a line about something. I was like, I don't remember that. So I got 1 or 2 more episodes to go till I'm actually caught up to where I woke up last week. I thought about watching not Lower Decks, but Prodigy, but apparently they pulled the season 1 from Netflix.
I don't know where you can watch season 1 anymore. If anywhere.
I'm sure I could watch it on other means.
If
anything, there's I found a lot of shows on a website. It's a legit website.
Shit. It ain't legit.
No, it's legit.
If it's on the internet, it's legit.
It's a Google site. It's you see they
you could probably buy episodes.
I found episodes from MSN, and they're on a bunch of news sites where they post them. Video's something.
All right. I'm gonna keep going through DS9. I'm doing DS9. I thought about doing Lower Decks, but right now I'm just doing DS9. But I may try to mix in some Lower Decks to create like some.
No, you got to get caught up because we talked about we were going to start watching.
Yeah, but DS9 is a big watch. That's a big watch.
Trust me, man. Once you get through
right.
I'll
work on it.
First season.
I feel like I can only do a couple DS9s a week, though. It's just tough to get through.
And let it play in the background. A lot of it.
That's what I'm doing.
Season 1 is tough.
A lot of it is you don't have to watch it. It's not a starship.
All right.
A lot of it is just people having conversations.
Yeah.
I mean, it is just like I said, it's like the Love Boat.
I've been on vacation for 1 week so far, and I'm working on the house. And while I'm working on the house, I've got this in the background, DS9, and it works. You're absolutely right.
I mean, the worst part is, you know what I just realized? I think I know when DS9 got better. When Cisco finally just shaved his head and grew out the goatee.
Maybe. He's terrible right now in season 1.
Jake, my boy. Yeah, that's just horrible acting. Like, it's not horrible acting. I think it is. I think it's just his character was just.
I think he's still developing it.
He's pulling an Archer right now, where he's kind of naive about things.
Yeah,
and I realize that now that I see Worf on the show. Because Worf is doing the same thing. He's like, well, on the starship, we would catch somebody. He's a criminal. It's like, don't tell me how to do my job, and I won't tell you how to do yours. Then he ends up fucking up Odo's shit. And they're like, hey, man, this is not a starship. They're not as you gotta go with the flow of this shit sometimes. You can't be strict and stringent. So I think in the beginning, that's what Cisco was like. And coming to realize more and more, he really did not want to be the emissary. Like, that fucked his shit up. Like, this is some bullshit. And when it finally came down to dealing with Ducat and like doing some regular Starfleet ship, is when he starts getting back into, the groove of things.
All right. Yeah, so I'm going to stick with DS9, see how that goes. Try to catch up with you. Not likely though, because you're like 3 seasons ahead. But
I will pause. Pause.
Right.
There's other shows I want to watch because I'm still contemplating this between whether starting in Stargate again or Battlestar Galactica.
All right. Well, maybe I'll catch up. We'll see. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody.
I want to give a shout out to John B for.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Signing on, and Dr. Pelgreen, Chief Scott, he's been texting me, Crewman Sherry, and
for sure.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks you guys for tuning in. We appreciate our loyal audience.
Guy in the chair.
Yep, guy in the chair.
Woohoo! So,
all right. On that note.
Between you and Crewman Cherry at this point.
Yeah, but she came through though with the Ashley Judd. She's hit a couple. Don't forget, if you haven't already subscribed, we definitely appreciate it, and it does help us with our algorithm stuff, which I guess is the thing now. But don't forget,
Crewman Cherry, don't forget to post your questions.
Oh yeah, post those questions in the comments. And like, subscribe, share, hit that notification bell.
Be sure to leave comments turned on so she can post her questions in the comments.
Yeah, comments are available. And I actually reset it so that you don't have to be a subscriber.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
See, so I'm thinking.
Can you leave comments even after the show?
Comments, you have to wait till after the show's over to leave comments, after the live stream.
Okay.
Gus, I know you're watching. Don't forget, track yourself before you wreck yourself.
And we're looking for a sponsor for next week's episode, and that just means dropping off a case of Twisted Tea.
Chief Scott?
Or Diet Pepsi.
Diet Pepsi.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
I do want to ask that question on our next show. I'll save it if I remember it. But what happens to the brands? Keep it in your notes. All right, we'll catch you guys next Sunday. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you, guys.
Nanu. Bye-bye.